Bro, I'm low-key faded, bro.
Highway.
What's this guy supposed to be, the ultimate badass?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about the Cowboys offensive line, the big behemoths. This is serious Capmo time, bro. D for Dallas. You know how we roll, baby. You know how we roll. So yeah, man, we're going to talk about the Cowboys O lineman. Is this offensive line playoff ready? Or do they have enough to make a run? Do they have enough depth? Let's go ahead and talk about these guys, all right? So the Dallas Cowboys have been lighting it up to the scoreboard in recent seasons, and it all starts with the trenches, right? The trenches is where it's at. Stars like Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, they're the guys that get the spotlight, but it's the offensive line that runs and that powers the offense. You know, it starts in the trenches, plain and simple. So we're gonna talk about this offensive line, the depth chart, from the new starters, you know, the rookies, vets, depth. We're going to talk about everything, you know, everything that you need to know about this roster. So let's go ahead and let's dive into the starting lineup. We're going to take a look at the backups and assess all the strengths and vulnerabilities, you know, that we could possibly run into. Where do we have chinks in the armor? And what can we expect from this offensive line? So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the starting lineup, all right? Like I said, is this offensive line playoff worthy, durable, and enough to make a playoff run? You know, it all starts up front, man. So let's talk about your left tackle. Let's talk about, this is a huge one, Tyler Guyton, right? So this is Tyler Guyton's second year. He did show some flashes of elite athleticism. You know, I think that's his main thing. He's very athletic, right? So that's something that you like, but you know, his main thing that he struggled with was hand placement. You know what I mean? I think he held up really good with the speed rushers, but the hand placement kind of got him burnt. He wasn't able to use the long arms like we thought, you know, for leverage. You know, he was getting beat, and that's because of hand placement. So we'll see how he does that. He could become a cornerstone tackle though if he cleans those up. You know, the Cowboys have been known to have really good left tackles. It's almost like the equivalent to, you know, the star running back in Dallas, the star wide receiver, the quarterback. The left tackle is right there. We've always had somebody there of some sort of recognition, somebody there of a mauler type that you can just set it and forget it, right? You know he's going to do his job. So the second year for Guyton is huge for this offensive line in 2025. Let's look at the left guard, Tyler Smith. He's in a contract year, okay? He continues to be the tone setter of this offensive line. I think he has been thrusted into this leadership role. He's now one of the vets here on the team. You know what I mean? Just like that, he's right there. You know, he's physical, he's disciplined, and he's among the top in the entire NFL as far as like your young guards in the NFL. He's already put himself in the upper echelon. So you like that. Taking a look at our center, Cooper B, man. The big boy, man. This guy is huge, right? You know, when we drafted him, you know, we're like, you know, he could possibly, you know, be a depth guy for Zach Martin. But then Tyler Biadasz was gone, so it made a lot of sense to put him there at center. You know what I mean? And at Kansas, supposedly he didn't do much of that really at all. So this was a new thing for him, and he shined. You know, his rookie season, he really shined. Strong base, excellent pocket awareness, and he fits in. I think he fits in a lot of schemes. You saw what he did in Kansas. You saw what he's doing here with the Cowboys. So power, zone schemes, he can do it all. So I think Cooper Beebe in year 2 is going to be phenomenal. I mean, he could be on a Pro Bowl trajectory. You know what I mean? You're looking at our right guard, the rookie, right? Tyler Booker, replacing the now retired Zach Martin, the legend, the Goats. So big shoes to fill. All right. He's going to replace Zach Martin. He brings the size, the SEC tested toughness. You know what I mean? The SEC is puts out a lot of NFL ready type of players. I expect some growing pains from him, though. You know what I mean? It's not going to be an easy transition. But he is built for long-term success. It's going to be all about him, though. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, you know, and I hate to say this, but, you know, the Alabama pedigree has not translated well. And it's been up to each player. You know what I mean? Can we get a Landon Dickerson out of this guy? You know what I mean? And not an Evan Neal or one of these other guys that have busted out. I think he's in good hands here. I think we have a really good offensive line coach that'll keep him in line. And I think he's already doing the right things, you know, working on the off season with the best that there are out there to work out with. So I think Booker has the right mindset. You know, the characters there as well. You know, the Cowboys are going back to this right kind of guy type of players. And, you know, he should be able to hold it up. You know what I mean? But there will be some growing pains there. But I expect him to do well. So that's right guard. Right tackle, Terrence Steele. All right. What can you say about him? He's had an up and down roller coaster career. You know what I mean? He was an undrafted guy. None of us saw him even making the roster during a lot of our 53-man projections. And by the time you know it, McCarthy had him basically penciled in as your starting right tackle. And everybody was like, you know, wow, how the hell did this dude make it? He earned himself another contract, you know what I mean? But then he's had some injuries. He's had some up and down career play, like I said. So, you know, what are you going to get from him? You know, he's looking to bounce back from that 2024 inconsistent season, right? He's really he's a physical run blocker, but the pass protection is where he needs to he needs to improve. And I don't know if you can at this point. You kind of have the player. He kind of already is who he is. You know what I mean? At a certain point, a player that has been in the league, can they really learn more? Can they really get better? At a certain point, the player is who they are, and that's where we're at with Terrence Steele. So, you know, we just need him to at least go back to form where he was good, good enough. You know what I mean? So those are your starters. You know, this unit is young, they're physical, and you know, it really is going back to that the return to the run. You know what I mean? Where it's a run first type of approach. But you know, looking at the second year of Guyton and Tyler Booker, those are going to be huge elements of the success of this offensive line and Terrence Steele as well. So we'll see, man. We'll see how they look. Now, who's behind these guys could be very important as well. You know, our backup O linemen. You know what I mean? So, you know, sometimes these guys, they miss time, they get hurt, maybe they get sick or whatever it is, and then they're out. You know, maybe it's a hamstring or, you know, a calf or whatever it is. So a lot of times you will see backup players in here. You know what I mean? So let's examine these dudes, right? Let's take a look at the depth there. You know, obviously you have Awesome Richards. All right. He's still on board here with the Cowboys, and former 4th round pick, right, out of North Carolina. And you know, they drafted him in the 4th round. I thought, you know, they probably thought of him as a swing kind of guy. I think he's elevated himself into that kind of role. I think he could be on the trajectory of a Jeremy Parnell, where you were like a backup, and then you got some snaps and you made something of it. That could be Awesome Richards this year. You know what I mean? If Tyler Guyton didn't put in the work and looks like crap, and they put him Austin Richards, he could earn himself some money, man. He could earn himself an extension, as a matter of fact. So Austin Richards, I think, is really going to be one of the guys to really look at on that left side as far as like your depth. He's versatile. He's very tough, and he's become a reliable swing option for the Cowboys. All right, at guard, let's take a look at the guard depth here, right? So behind Tyler Booker, you have T.J. Bass. You know, not to be mistaken for TJ Maxx, but it is TJ Bass. All right. You know, gritty. He's strong in the run game, and he gives you some depth, so he'll be there. Matt Waletzko, the tackle. You know what I mean? So he will he make it? You know, he's really gonna have to beat out Johnny Cornelius, I think. So, well, let's go. Could be on the way out, but Johnny Cornelius, I think, is going to be your primary backup. He's a right side player. You know, they probably like him at guard, but they like him as well at tackle, and that's why they really liked him. You know, Cowboys coach met with him. They had the private dinner, so you know they took him there. You know, we talked about Connerly, we talked about Cornelius. We gave you guys that information, and you know he's a Cowboy here, so they like him a lot, man. And he has a sponsor here now with Coach Riley, so I see him making a team. You know, I think Waletzko's in trouble here. Your center depth, you know, obviously you have Brock Hoffman. He's going to be there backing you up. I think that's a decent backup, man. He can give you some snaps, you know, for like a game or two. It's not somebody you want long term, obviously, but he can hold it down. He's got experience, and he has some starter experience, and he's been dependable. You know, and he's been dependable in spot duty. So that's your boy there, Brock Hoffman with the face paint. All right, so. Other young guys here that you know that we have, you know, let's take a look at who else we got here. We talked about Austin Richards, Nate Thomas. You know, did he develop? You know, there was a lot made about him as far as being like a brawler, mauler type of guy. He was cut, and then they re-signed him, but they did bring in, you know, Akeem Dinigi. I think the former A&M player from Cincinnati. They brought him in for depth. Sadiq Charles, unretired, to join the Cowboys. He's here as well. And the Cowboys added Rob Jones, you know, from Miami as a free agent. He's a guard, so he's probably going to be your primary backup for Tyler Smith on the left side there. So pretty good depth there, you know. So like I said, you know, I feel good about the depth now. I feel good about the starters. What are the strengths and weaknesses overall of this offensive line, in your opinion? You know what I mean? To me, the strengths of this offensive line are going to be something like, you know, they have a lot of youth. They have a lot of upside. You know what I mean? So there's a, you know, they have the floor, they have the ceiling. And I think with these young players, you know, if they put in the work, you know, sky's the limit. It's a young core, you know what I mean, with long-term potential. This is a right now where you can grow some really good camaraderie with this young lineup. Okay, so you gotta love that. Run blocking is gonna be the specialty of this offensive line. That's their bread and butter. So, you know, they're talking about bringing back the running game. I think you have the right mindset. You have the right players in place right now. The pass protection is okay. It's good. And some of them do it better than others, and some are not quite as good. You know what I mean? So that's going to be something to look out for Dak Prescott, to avoid injuries, avoid getting blindside sacks. You know, we don't want to see him getting crunched into the ground and getting a clavicle broke or something, whatever like that. So that pass protection needs to be on the up and up. But I think the run blocking is one of their strengths, and the versatility. You know, the Cowboys have always been known to have guys that you can hot swap, right? So you got a guy that comes out, and you have another one who can come in. If he needs to move to tackle, he can move to tackle. But can play guard. Cowboys excel in that area. As far as weaknesses, kind of talked about it. The pass protection, I think, that's an area that they can be improved upon. You know what I mean? But this is the type of offensive line that you have right now. They are a run blocking specialist. Experience, you know, I mean, there's got to be something to say about that. That's probably a little bit of a weakness right now, outside of Tyler Smith. I mean, it's a very young core, you know what I mean. So the experience, how do they hold up, you know, through the season, and how does that experience show up in the playoffs? All right, so that's huge as well, you know what I mean. So that's a little bit of a weakness, to be honest. Injury depth behind the starters, especially at tackle, you know what I mean. That's where it can get kind of hairy. And we talked about Austin Richards, but your right tackle, it can get kind of crazy there. You know, if Steele is out, then you have to throw in your rookie Cornelius, if you have to throw him in there, or or one of these other guys. So I think the tackle depth is okay, but you can get in trouble there if you go a little bit short there. So with this offensive line, I think you're going to see you'll see some play action. You know what I mean? I think you're going to see some good action up there as far as like good protection up front for Dak Prescott. So quick reads, quick throws. I think the middle of the field is going to be money for Jake Ferguson this season. I expect him to bounce back. Your slot player, whoever that is, whoever they put in there, go in the middle. I think they're going to eat as well, whatever receiver that would be. I think you're going to see a lot of that good action. So overall, this offensive line I think is in good shape. They're young, they're powerful, and they're full of potential. If the rookie steps up, Booker and Guyton continues to develop. He has to develop. This young group could be the strength of this entire team. The offensive line could be the best unit of the Cowboys. All right, but there's still some questions to be answered. If this line comes together, it could drive another top tier season. You know what I mean? They could really propel themselves into the playoffs, possibly. Definitely stay in the mix in the NFC East is going to be tough. But if that line holds up, they'll be in the mix. I do believe that. But guys, let me know what you guys think. Can this new look offensive line get it done? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious to see what you guys think about this offensive line, your starters. How do you feel about the depth in case we get in trouble there with injuries? How do you feel about our depth? And I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Let me know what you think, and continue to like, subscribe, and share. Peace, everybody.
Yeah, old school, baby.